Hello, today I want to bring you guys part 2 on my 3-part series of how to use smart objects for a more efficient and flexible workflow. So a lot of the times we might have air conditioning, or we might have forgotten a flash that is reflecting in somewhere that it shouldn't, and we might not have enough raw material to use a clone stamp, or maybe the content aware fill won't work as well as we'd like it to. So how can we use smart objects to help us solve this problem? I'll show this case here, which I haven't actually worked on yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. And one of the big secrets of Photoshop for architecture and interiors is that because so much of the time we have smooth walls, we can use the paintbrush to solve a lot of our problems. So I'm just making a quick selection here with my pen tool. I'm going to just subtract this little piece here quickly. Oops, mark that a bit better. There we go. Selection, subtract from selection. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paintbrush with a low flow, and I'm going to start sampling some areas and painting out that flash. In this case it was an Godox AD600BM. So I'm going to start just painting that out. But we can see sometimes we have a small problem when we do painting, and that is that the painting is smooth, but the rest of the photo has grain. So how can we resolve this using smart objects? What I'm going to do, I'm going to Control D to deselect, then I'm going to Control Shift N to make a new layer. In mode, I'm going to put this in overlay, and then I'm going to fill it with a neutral gray. I'm going to call this noise. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my right mouse button, and I'm going to convert this to a smart object. And I'm going to press my right mouse button again, and I'm going to create a clipping mask. Because this is an overlay and it's 50% gray, it means that whatever kind of texture I might apply to this 50% gray layer that is an overlay will be applied to the underlying layer. So what I can do now is I can come into Filter, Noise, Add Noise. Now I can add the amount of noise that I want so that it matches the amount of noise in the photo around it. And besides that, I can give that an OK. And because this noise is a bit sharp that I've created, but the noise around it isn't sharp, I can stack filters, because whenever I change something into a smart object, it means that I can use filters stacked one on top of the other, and they can interact with each other. So I'm going to make another filter, a blur, a Gaussian blur, and now I can give this amount of blur that I think will make it match the amount of noise around the image. So look how great that is without the noise, with the noise. Now this looks like it is part of the image because it has the same amount of noise as the surrounding areas. So this is a tip not a tip, but this is a trick I love to use with air conditioning. When the air conditioning is in a tight spot, I might not have enough raw material around it for cloning, or it might just be a big pain in the butt to try and clone or use a content aware fill. This case, I just paint it out. Obviously, using painting for these kind of corrections requires a certain amount of skill, but just a bit of practice and you'll start getting it quite quickly. Well, what's wrong here? Yeah, so you can see that after, something's wrong. Yeah, I probably pressed something I shouldn't have. No problem. F12. Hold on a second here. Where is my history? It has decided to abandon me. I'm not sure what this wasn't. Oh, there we go. So yeah, you can always, with time and practice, you'll get better at painting, and you'll start seeing that you can do these nice gradients with a paintbrush. Takes a bit of practice, but it's quite easy. So yeah, that's the second way I like to use smart objects to have a more efficient and flexible workflow. I create a blank layer, and then on top of that blank layer, I create a new layer, 50% gray with an overlay. Here we go. 50% gray layer with overlay. I create a clipping mask, and then actually before I create the clipping mask, I convert that layer to a smart object, create a clipping mask, and then I can add filters to this layer so that the texture of the painting that I do is exactly the same as the overall texture of the rest of the image. So I hope this tip helps you guys out as well, so that you can edit your photos quicker with a bit more flexibility, and so we can all have fun doing what we love. So I hope this finds you in good health, that you have a great day, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. Goodbye.